Good evening, everyone. My name is Gyan Mamani, and welcome back to the Entrepreneurship Insights Podcast. I want to welcome Aarav Goswami and Darsh Shah to the show. Both are juniors in high school and are dedicated to empowering young people to succeed in their personal and professional lives. Both met at the summer program ATDP and decided to form their company from there. Thank you both for joining me here today.
Hey, Gyan, it's good to be here. Hey everyone, I'm Aarav Goswami. I'm the founder and CEO of Rising C-Suites.
And hey guys, I'm Darsh. Thank you so much, God, for having us. I'm Darsh. I'm the COO of Rising C-Suites, and I'm a co-founder as well.
It's wonderful to have you guys today. So first off, tell us your story. How did it start?
Yeah, so it all starts at ATDP, like you said. We signed up for the Introduction to Innovation and Entrepreneurship course. It was like an online course. And Darsh and I kind of knew each other, like at school. We went to the same middle school. I didn't know him that well. We were like acquaintances, but we got closer through that program. We kind of got each other's numbers, stayed in contact. And then after ATDP, we kind of had a break. Like we had like different classes. It was on to high school. We kind of fell off. But the following summer, I actually received a scholarship to the B-Bay program. And I met some amazing people there, made some amazing connections, learned some amazing things. And I wanted to apply myself and beyond myself, take that knowledge and do something with that. So Rising C-Suites, believe it or not, started as an idea for a club. Kind of when I was in DECA, I didn't have the greatest business knowledge at the time. And I think a lot of an issue I found was that with DECA, the education was not there for you to succeed at DECA. And so I thought, why not make a financial literacy and business club in Amador? And long story short, the leadership hated it. It got completely rejected. It was a complete failure. But I decided not to give up from there. I wanted to take it outside and make it a company because if they weren't going to accept me at school, I wanted to widen the scope and I had a huge vision. So I remember Darsh from ATDP, we hit it off. He's a great worker. He's very talented. I reached out to him, said, hey, Darsh, do you want to create this company with me that teaches business and personal finance? And he's like, sure, let's get started. So here we were in the Pleasanton library, making logos on Canva, taking some basic logos, some basic designs. It was really, really bad. But looking back at it, like the story from there and how we changed to business and finance education and business consulting, because we realized that having business and finance meetings, even though we have the passion for it, not everyone does. And it wasn't really working out. And what we realized is, going back to my past venture, so before Rising C-Suites, I had my own home decor e-commerce channel or a store, Mi Casa Su Casa. And I think this was after ATDP, and I didn't have the best business knowledge. So an issue I had was I didn't have somebody to reach out to for day-to-day, especially as a youth entrepreneur, right? And I know there's hundreds of youth entrepreneurs in our area alone. So we decided to shift our focus from teaching, which we now offer as free and on the side, on our website, to our main focus being business consulting for youth-led, making us the first youth-led business consulting firm in the Silicon Valley.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, Aarav, so that summer that we met at ATDP, I actually wanted to apply some things I learned from Entrepreneurship and Innovation Camp at ATDP with you. And so that same summer, I started Young Champions. It's a initiative that I started that same summer. That's a tutoring initiative that I founded and I'm the CEO of. I kind of gathered like a team of 10 to 15 individuals, and we started off just teaching basketball, but now we teach basketball, math, and coding. But like regardless, right? It's been 2.5 years, and what I've realized, like, regardless of how much I could do and how well of a team I could build, like we didn't have any other resources to really get that thing up and going. I know right now we've raised around $5,000 to $6,000 within just a year of launching, but I think we could do so much more. Like we're still a community-based organization, and that's kind of like a reason why I wanted to join Aarav in this venture, is because what we're doing in Rising C-Suites is that we're a consulting firm for the youth, and the youth in our area and in many areas around the world don't have the resources to like really get that business up and running. I know like if you like hear like a 10, 11-year-old, even a 15, 16-year-old say, I want to get a startup going, like I want to be an entrepreneur in the future. People get laughed at. Sometimes they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna be an entrepreneur, that means you're unemployed. There's many negative stereotypes towards it, right? And so as a youth consulting firm, we really want to help youth entrepreneurs, or like entrepreneurs, student entrepreneurs, any entrepreneur who has a mind that's innovative and wants to come up with an idea and turn that into an actual business, an actual product. We want to help them, similar to how my story was in the past, where I didn't really have much guidance and much help with starting my own business. We want to help those kinds of entrepreneurs really start their own business. And kind of retracing onto what Aarav said about rising C-suites in its initial stages. I was really grateful, Aarav, for when you reached out to me, because what you brought to me about personal finance and financial literacy was really interesting to me. But again, as Aarav said, in the beginning, we were like a complete failure. Like in the beginning, it was just a college stunt. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was like, okay, financial literacy, that's gonna look really good to colleges, and that'll look good for us too. So let's do it, right? And it was a complete failure. We were like canceling meetings left and right because one person showed up, two people showed up, and we completely revamped our business model over and over again, from meetings to now a consultation firm where we're tailored towards specific clients and we work towards an actual problem that people need and the clients actually need. And so that's kind of our story. Yeah,
I do want to add, I think it was huge for us that we kind of looked around to see a common issue, not just for our passions, but for the other entrepreneurs, what they're lacking. I think Darsh and I both have an extreme passion for business, and I especially for finance too. And I wanted to apply that somewhere where it could help a lot of people. Other than, we realized if you want to look for education, YouTube already has high quality videos. Darsh and I aren't the best video editors, and basically the whole idea behind changing this was I met a lot of people at B-Bay, right? A lot of people at ATDP, just a lot of connections around the business world. For example, our head of marketing, I met him at B-Bay. He runs a Instagram pieces.archive and he has 160,000 followers. Our head of web development, I met him at our school, and he has an application called BetterQ with hundreds of daily users to check their grades and edit them. So I kind of created a diverse team with separate skill sets as kind of like a team for starting entrepreneurs to reach out to provide them the platform for the business to succeed. And that was the whole idea behind Rising C-Suites.
Yeah, so like a lot to unpack there, right? How you guys started with ATTP and then how you guys formed connections, because I feel like one of the biggest things that entrepreneurs need is some level of extrovertedness, right? For you to be able to reach out to these people, right? You reached out to a web developer, you reached out to a marketing specialist, right, who had a $160,000 follower account, right? And so it all starts with that extrovertedness, and then like you were saying, Darsh, it's all about revamping your business model, right? How you guys went from, okay, you saw that no one was attending your meetings and you call it a failure, but at least you guys started. I know so many people who just don't start, but why? Just because, oh, like if I'd put another person in your shoes, they'd probably been like, oh, so what? Just move on, right? Let's just continue doing what everyone else is doing, research, everything that, and then let's figure out a path from there. But what I really want to focus on is your response to adversity, right? How you guys decided to handle that, because one of the biggest things about entrepreneurship is how you decide to change and adapt to different situations.
Yeah, and kind of going off of that, I think like to any viewer watching and trying to be inspired or like trying to start their own business, like I want to make sure that to know that like when you're starting your own business, you should really focus on like what the market need is rather than like what you're passionate about. I know like passion and things like that are like really talked about, like, okay, I'm passionate about this, I want to do this. But if there's no market need for it, then it's not really gonna be successful, right? Let's say you just want to make money. Let's say your passion is literally money. You're not gonna be successful because what you're gonna try to do is things that like orient yourselves to make money. But if it's not filling a market need, I know like drop shipping or like different types of things, like you can just go into it for making money, or you can just go into it because, okay, I enjoy doing it. But like if there's no actual need for it and like you're not being realistic with yourself, the same thing that we were feeling, right? Like me and Aarav were really passionate about financial literacy and spreading financial literacy. And we used our passion and converted it into something even better. However, if you just go straight into your passion, like what we did is like we like used financial literacy and turned them into videos. And the videos weren't the best way to get our message across and get that knowledge across. But when we turned into consulting service, people actually listened and people wanted help. And so kind of when you're starting your own business, make sure that you use your skills and what you're passionate about to like fit the needs of the market. Because if the market and if the industry doesn't really require that at the time, then your business is not going to be successful.
Yeah, so going off what Darsh said, a huge thing is I know like a lot of people, like when they hear about doing market research and they hear about doing all these steps to start a business, that they think, oh, it's a bunch of BS, I should just get right into it. Passion is essential, but if you understand what you're doing and you come up with the planning stage first, it saves you a lot of time. I think the biggest issue with Rising C-Suites was we kind of jumped right into it because with our passion got ahead of ourselves, and we didn't slow down, like, hold up, what could we change how could we improve, what value could we provide? Because at the end of the day, it's all about value.
Correct. Yeah. Like, I mean, you have to change that passion into obsession. And I feel like obsession is just, I guess, it's passion with a little bit of thought behind it, right?
Yeah.
It always comes back to your calculated risks, right? And like with entrepreneurship, people think like, oh, you're a risk taker, right? Like you're able to just like take risks, like go on the whim, just do anything you want, right? But it's actually a little bit of calculation behind it, right? Like with like Darsh, as you were saying about your about like how you guys revamped your business model, you had to actually think, right? Okay, like I have this passion to teach people about entrepreneurship, teach people about financial literacy, but like, is it in a way that people want it, right? And like, I do understand, like if I'm drawing parallels, it's like some people may not want to watch like an hour-long interview, right, of just a bunch of high schoolers talking, but like if you're able to take this interview and make it into a short form content, or maybe apply these skills and these learnings to like a comedy skit that you may post, like just everything short form, like maybe you'll be able to reach the people that you want to reach, right? So it all depends on that market need.
Yeah, I think I kind of misworded myself when I said passion should just be completely like, you shouldn't think about passion. I think you have to use passion to like turn it and tailor it towards what can actually work, and like be practical about what can actually work. Because as you said, like if it's not parallel with like what people actually want to do, I know like YouTube videos, as we said, like there's already so many YouTube videos. I know I would rather personally go watch someone who's more reputable and who's already been like hyper successful than what Rising C-Suites is putting out, right? But what we do is that we offer personalized, client-tailored services that no other service is offering out here. Because right now we're completely free to any client, and no other service is going to be offering full one-on-one services towards a client, in which a client with just a mere idea can turn it into a business, right? Like that's the unique value proposition that we have, and that's why we're starting to become more and more successful.
Yeah, it's just dreams into reality, like, and it all depends on like even in the most simplest sense. I think like on Wolf on Wall Street, they're talking about, sell me this pen, right? It's like I think I think the person is and the one who has the pen, he's like, okay, how do I sell this to you? Like, okay, write your name down for me, like write your signature down. Like, oh, I don't have a pen. See, you need the pen. Identify the need, and then you can be successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
and I did wanted to touch upon how Darsh said our unique value proposition. I think kind of what sets us apart is, again, we're the first like main youth-led consulting firm in our area. And how it works is, first we identify the need, right? People need like a team. People always need a team with different skill sets to reach out to. And when they don't have access to like large connections, or they're just getting started, we kind of act as that team. So we have a first meeting, Darsh and I have a first meeting with a client, and we kind of hear, what is your need? And then we tell them like all the potential business models. We work with our whole team to write a full action plan, give them contacts to our head of marketing, head of content development, head of design, anybody else they may need, and we can cover from nonprofits to for-profits to side hustles. As our team has experienced many different sides of business, we wanted to create a full circle. So for any potential situation a client may want to pursue, we have that covered for them.
Yeah, like one of the main things that like your programs that you've been to, like ATTP and B-Bay offer, is like a network, right? Like that seems to be the biggest takeaway, right? Like when you asked, like I asked you, like, okay, what'd you learn from ATTP? You're like, I built a network. I met many people, right? And it's just how you're able to connect someone to another person, right? And I go by this model, like if I can't help you, I'll connect you with the person who can. Right? And I feel like that's so important in entrepreneurship, right? And that's how like you just build, right? It's just one person on one person, one person, one person.
Yeah,
Like,
I do want to add, right now, a lot of stereotypes I've heard, and this is kind of off track of Rising C-Suites specifically, but this is like super impactful to like any viewer watching, because I know a lot of stereotypes are like, oh, summer programs, colleges don't really care about summer programs. They know it's like a money hassle by like colleges. Like you're not really going to learn much. But like what I've learned through Aarav as well is like these summer programs, like the main reason that I'm like this summer I'm doing Wharton's leadership in the business world and I'm doing UK Club's pathways in economics. And the main reason I'm doing these is because like I've learned like these programs can connect you with like top industry like youth entrepreneurs, top professionals at this age. And these people are like, right now our entire team is completely built upon like summer programs. Like half of it's summer programs and half of it's our school. It's all people we've completely networked with and like we've talked to and like who are super interested in our business. Like as I've started to like mature as an entrepreneur, I've learned like there's a small circle of like students and entrepreneurs who are like actually interested in like building a hyper successful brand. Like on LinkedIn, like I've started to connect with people and people talk to me now about like what I'm doing. But all of this has started because of like summer programs and like reaching out to people, like cold emailing them, cold calling them, just talking to them, literally met with someone on anywhere, right? Like I know there's so many opportunities. People are like afraid to reach out to like consulting firms, top firms, because like they're like, okay, there's no position available for me. Just call them, talk to them, tell them what skill set you bring to the table, and they'll want to work with you. And that's kind of how Aarav and I really built our team. And now Aarav touched upon this when he said he went to B-Bay, and the entire team we've built. Like Harrison was like, when I met Harrison, like I was super impressed with 160,000 followers at just 16, 17 years old, which is crazy to me. We have Daniel, who's currently, I'm kind of getting this off of Daniel too. He's an intern at like a top Big Four consulting company. And what I learned from him, like he said, he didn't apply anywhere, he just cold called them and they're like, oh yeah, we have an opportunity available. So like the entire team we've built, like they do the same thing. They just network with people. Like how do I know Daniel who lives in Germany? How do I know Harrison who lives in San Francisco? Through Aarav, right? Through networking, through talking to them. And so one really good piece of advice that I can offer to anyone watching is like, don't shy away from like any sort of program that could speak to your passion or like could get you connected with like top people, because it's like, regardless of like what people may say, like, oh, it's just a scam for this, oh, it's just a scam for that. If you think it can bring value to you and like you can use it to your advantage. Right now I know people say like, okay, you're spending lots of money to do a program that's like this just because like, and you're not gonna learn much information out of it that's really gonna apply. Well, like I'm building a network that's gonna be like the top 130, 140 like entrepreneurs in the entire United States who are actually passionate about like leadership in the business world or like entrepreneurship, right? And it's like, I'm building my network for the future. I'm thinking to the future because these same people that I'm working with right now this summer are going to be helping me in the next 4 or 5 years when I'm building like another bigger brand or like continuing with rising C-suite and making this as big as possible.
Exactly.
I think what Darsh said is like, if there's one thing to take away from this whole meeting, it's you would be surprised how much a 15-second conversation with someone new would take you. Like when I got rejected as a club for rising C-suites, I met this kid at a DECA competition who said, I would say take it further, right? Take it outside. And I created a company with one of my rejected clubs. And just because of that, if I didn't have that 15-second conversation, I would not be here in front of you right now. If I wasn't at B-Bay, I would not have met our head of marketing, our head of content development. I wouldn't have met, if I didn't talk to people at my school, I would have met our head of web development. Business is all about people. If you can't find passion in talking to people and hearing their stories, business is not for you.
Yeah, it's all about the team that you build, right? And you were talking about like 15-second conversations, right? Like one of the things, like I've also competed in DECA before, and I had this company idea that I was pitching through like the innovation plan event, and that was getting rejected every single time, right? And then so like it was just like a mere conversation with my father. I'm like, hey, like, what can I do? It's like, why don't you just build it instead? Like build the app and then just widen your focus, right? Like you said, and it's all about the people you meet, right? Like I was at the States conference last month, and I literally met a guy in a convention center, I was just walking around and I just met this guy. And I had an hour-long talk with him, just about self-development, life, entrepreneurship, like future goals, everything. And it's like, it's all about first how you widen your focus. It's the people you talk to, and it's about how far you're willing to go to do this, right? And you guys, but you both have such a strong passion for this, and it's just, passion is one thing, but it's how far you're willing to go to achieve your dreams. And how and in your case, it's how far you're willing to go to help others achieve theirs. So I feel like that's the big overarching idea here.
Mm-hmm.
So like, how does rising C-suites aim to build the next generation of leaders? Because I've heard like it's all about consulting, it's all about it's all about one-on-one teaching, management, everything that like. How does it build the next generation of leaders specifically?
So this might sound kind of stupid, but I know in Ratatouille there's this quote, "Anyone can cook," and I feel like it kind of applies here because I honestly think that anyone can do business. Like not everyone can do business well, but a damn good businessman can come from anywhere. It could be under-resourced, it could be filthy rich, it can be from anywhere. And especially for under-resourced or people who are newly experienced, they might not have the connections. Like we just talked about how important building a wide team is, right? And this is kind of taking their vision and getting them started to become the next business leaders, I guess. And we mainly target those new business members. And when we say new business members, newly experienced business people, it doesn't even have to be youth. Like we have a couple adult clients and they're getting into it and they're starting to fall in love with just talking to people too, right? So when I say a good businessman can come from anywhere, I really mean that because all it takes is a team and a passion and full planning and your vision can become huge.
Yeah, and to add on to that, or like right now with some of this clients we're working with, they're like super young. They're like they just have an idea and they want to start something, right? Right now, I wouldn't say they're business leaders, but once they actually like start to implement their idea, I know all of them won't be like hyper successful, but we'll try our best to make them that version of themselves. Now, if they are successful and when they are successful, they turn into a leader, right? Because what do people look up to right now? They look up to leaders who have done things that are like realistic. I know like a lot of people look up to like Mark Zuckerberg because he's like the youngest possible entrepreneur and is it the youngest like what billionaire? So like the same thing, right? Like if you turn a small idea into a full business, people are gonna look up to you, and that's gonna turn you into a leader. I know like Aarav and I, we're like mentors to like some people in our local community, I would say, and like many people. Let's say we bring like 5-10 different other students up that same way, and like they start their own business, they start something of their own. They're gonna be a leader of their own, and they'll have like a different pyramid where they like have different people looking up to them, and that's what kind of our goal is, right? Like just have students who are like turning that idea, that passion into something real, and that can really influence others. So it's like a chain reaction where like we start, more people start, and then it kind of like blows up into like lots of young people being able to like start their own business and really become that successful.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, one of the things, like we're talking about leaders and leadership, but like, what do you two look for in a client, and more importantly, what do you two look for in a leader? Like, what's that one quality that sort of like just speaks for a person?
Drive.
So definitely as a business consulting firm, right? I think the biggest misconception is people kind of assume that if you work with us, your business will be successful, right? We are there to provide the platform for you to do your thing and succeed, right? I think for a leader, talking to people, definitely. You should be able to manage a team, make sure everybody on that team is happy, make sure they have set goals. You should just be open to ideas, right? You should never shut anyone down. I think you should really look at everything from multiple angles. I think that's one of the main things we look for when we talk to a person. If they're easy to talk to and they kind of see things the same way, the same creative way that other entrepreneurs would.
Yeah, and I would just say drive. Everything that Aarav just said just ties into drive, because if you have the drive to like make it successful, I know like when I started Young Champions in the beginning, like I kind of low-key just did it for like straight up for college. Like my parents wanted me to start something because like I had no like crazy extracurriculars. I was like, okay, let's just do something. And like I had like a team. I was like, okay, do this for me, right? I didn't have much drive. I just wanted to do it because I wanted to have something. Now I'm doing Rising C-Suites. Within 4 months, we've already started to work with Berkeley Haas. We're doing a hackathon with them this summer. And we've built a team of like crazy talented people with like people who like we had to work to like actually get to know and like bring onto our team, right? And so like all that ties in the drive, because if you don't have the drive to like really build your business up, because I can know like Aarav and I have reached so many struggles like in the past like 2-3 months like itself. We spent like 5-6 hours after school every night working like till like 3 a.m. Sometimes it's 3 a.m. 4 a.m. where we just like have to work. We have to leave school early, go to Berkeley, talk to like the professors at Berkeley. Like it's all a drive. Like you have to like, if you're not really passionate about what you're doing, and like you wouldn't see yourself doing this 5 to 10 years down the line, and you're like right now you're not like 100% into what you're doing, then you're not gonna be able to make it successful, because like one small bump and you're just gonna back off, because you're gonna be like, okay, why am I really doing this? Like, what's the point of it, right? Whereas if you actually have a reason for doing it, then you're gonna continue to do it regardless of any sort of adversity that you face.
Correct. First step is establish your why, and then second is drive. And I feel like the third point, I feel like Aarav, you touched on this a little. It's empathy. It's being able to first look at things from other people's perspectives, being able to actually listen to them, right? Being open, and I feel like that's basically the blueprint, right?
And I do think there is actually a fourth thing, which I think is really, really important. And I feel like Darsh and I could not have achieved anything if it wasn't for this. And I think it's being willing to take sacrifices, right? Like when we started, I was pretty lazy. Like I did not have much going for me. I really wanted to do something, but I didn't have the right vision, I guess. And I think working with Darsh, we like started to hang out with our friends a bit less. We started to meet more, go into multiple cities to talk to different people and work on our business. And I think if you're not willing to take sacrifices, and I think that's a huge thing we look for when we're talking to our clients. If you're not willing to take sacrifices to put your passion first, then I honestly think it's going to be 10 times harder, if not impossible, to make yourself a successful business leader.
Yeah, and it's down to that one thing. It's like every time you're faced with a situation, you can either choose to compromise or to sacrifice, right? And usually sacrificing works better in the long run.
Exactly. And I think that's like an overarching like theme of life as well. Like even if like you're working like a regular job, I mean, if you're not going to sacrifice like your hours with your family, like right now, let's say like what Aarav and I are doing right now, right? We're sacrificing our time and like our time with our family, our time with our friends to make this successful. But in the future, as you said, Gyan, I think you bring up a really good point. It's compromise. In the future, you're gonna have to compromise for a lower paying job, or like you're gonna have to compromise for spending even less time with your family. Right now, Aarav and I are trying to put all of our effort towards this business, and right now I feel guilty sometimes, right? Like, okay, I can't spend this much time with my friends, or I can't spend this much time with my family, but in the long run I know it's going to help them out. I know it's going to help everyone I'm working with out. In the long run, I know like I will be able to like provide for them even more than I'm providing for them right now. Whereas like if I'm right now compromising, as you said, then in the future I'm going to continue to compromise because I was unable to sacrifice in the early stages. So I think like if you sacrifice in the early stages, then later on you're going to have more time to do what you're passionate about and what you're sacrificing. Whereas right now, at an early stage, if I were to compromise, then later on I'm going to be struggling and I'll have to keep on compromising over and over.
Correct. That is correct. And Darsh, I want to tag on to your point about like, I remember you mentioned if you don't see yourself doing this in the long run, like 5 to 10 years, then it probably isn't worth it, right? And you probably like as soon as you hit a bump, you're just going to back off. Where do you two see rising C-suites in the future? Do you see yourself continuing this through college, or like passing it on to someone else to continue your legacy? Like, what are your plans?
So most definitely, I could take that. Aarav, just add on to this if you have anything else. I think Aarav and I had a really good conversation about this really recently, where like in the beginning, as I said, like this was kind of like another college stunt. But like me and Aarav have grown so passionate about this, we really want to continue this through college, and like we want to build a brand out of this. Like right now we're doing with Haas, right? Like we're partnering with Haas this summer, and I don't see this stopping anytime soon. I know we want to continue to work with schools, and we're going to continue to build this brand that we have. And to add on to that, like in the future, I want to continue to work on rising C-suites. I can't tell you exactly where it's going to go in the future because right now we're a consulting firm. It's been 5 months, but in the long run, maybe 2 to 3 years. Let's say first. Short term, right? Like 2 to 3 years, I would say we continue to build our consulting firm and continue to focus on what we're doing right now. Let's say I want to expand to international borders because I know this problem that we have, that we see in like even our local community. I know like people face it in like not only the US, but like even in international countries, right? Because some of them don't have the opportunities nor the resources to really start their brand, because I know like some countries are way worse off financially, and so we could really help them, like connect them with like our professionals, and they can online on Zoom. Like today everything's electronic, right? So our professionals can help them build their business through like Zoom or like wherever. Like there's so many online free platforms right now. Like we're designing all our posts on Canva, and you can use Figma to design. So like all these things can be done for free. And so we want to really help these things become mainstream and like help people really like consult with our specialized consultants and really build that brand. And I'd say like even longer term, I can't really tell you exactly where we want to go. What we want to do, like we do want to focus on like that financial literacy aspect, really help business leaders and like helps the youth continue to like build their own thing and like kind of like continue to grow as a business leader. And yeah, Aarav, if you have anything to add regarding our goals after, because I know like we were talking about this, like we really want to continue to build this through college because like I know for speaking for myself, like I've become super passionate about this. Right now I'm in Toronto and I'm trying to take this call for this podcast because I really want to talk about rising C-suites and spread that message to anyone who's interested in like starting their own business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think the passion for us is there. It's honestly like an experience more than say like for college or for achieving something. I think the experience that Darsh and I have just working together, talking to people on their team, the connections we've made, it's almost as if our team is like a family at this point, right? We go out, we have dinners, we have fun. I think that's a huge thing too. If you guys are not happy working as a team, then the passion will slowly like delineate. So as for the future, Darsh and I both like share this passion and it's still strong, it's still going. Haas is not the end. We plan on taking this further, and I honestly don't see any end.
Yep.
That is truly wonderful. You know, like you were saying that like you truly want to take this like beyond what do you call it? Beyond college, beyond high school, beyond college, and then like I've had this like the same experience I've had like with one of my friends. Like my friend was asking like, hey, why are you still doing the podcast? Why are you still pursuing adventures? Like, wasn't it just for college? Like, no, it wasn't, right? Like I feel like some of us students, like not us necessarily, but like some other students, they only do things because let's say college is their goal, like a job is their goal, a promotion is their goal, right? But like if we see it as a means to our true goal, which is to inspire entrepreneurship, inspire financial literacy, inspire this whole business craze, then I feel like our perspective also has to change, right? Yeah. And so like as we end as we near the end of our interview, like I have like a rapid fire question thing for both of you. I guess Aarav, you could start first. It's where I'm just gonna ask a series of like 5 to 7 questions, and you're gonna answer in as little time as possible, right? So like maybe like 3 to 4 seconds each. All right. So number 1 is, what's your favorite book and why? What have you learned from it?
Built for Growth by John Danaher, because I met the guy and he's a very smart person, and he actually told me that I have potential, and I actually met him at B-Bay. So.
All right, Built for Growth. All right, next question. What's the biggest lesson you've learned in entrepreneurship?
Don't shut any idea down.
Don't shut any. But and what's your favorite quote and why?
Anyone can cook, because it applies to business.
All right, and what's the best advice you've received?
Take what you've learned and see all the possible ways you can use it, and just go from there.
All right, and the last one is, what's the most difficult decision you've had to make?
Changing rising C-suites from education to consulting, because we were super lost at that point, and we had to work as a team to get out of it.
All right, now Darsh, it's time for you. The first question is, if you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I think it would be as soon as I came out of this ATDP program, it's like go into your passion, do something that you're actually passionate about rather than just like going to something that like your parents told you to do.
All right, next question is, what's the biggest risk you've taken in your business ventures?
The biggest risk I've taken is starting, because I had to put so much time aside to do this that I could have used to do something else.
All right, and who's your biggest inspiration and why?
Biggest inspiration is probably Mark Frigo, who's currently helping me write my book, or my dad, who like really pushed me to get through all this and like made sure like I continue doing what I'm doing right now.
Yep, keep him close. What's the most underrated skill for an entrepreneur to have?
The most underrated skill would be, I think, empathy, as Aarav said, because with empathy, like you can make anything happen because you can really understand people kind of the entire aspect of like the business.
All right, and the last one is, what's one thing you wish you'd known when you started?
One thing I wish I'd known, Aarav.
Aarav? You wish you'd known
Yes,
Aarav?
I wish I knew Aarav.
That's great, man. Like it's just like a brother like bond. All right. I guess that ends the rapid fire questionnaire, I guess. And so what are your last remarks? Like, what is one thing that both of you have to say to our audience, in terms of self-development, life as a whole, the journey, like anything you'd like to say, anything you'd really want them to take away?
Uh, like I said, don't shut any opportunity down. You'd be surprised, like times where I thought something was stupid, but I still did it, like how life changing that has been for me. Like for example, when I applied to BBA, I applied for the scholarship 30 minutes before because I just saw the email and I was like, oh, what the heck? Like I'm really passionate about this and I really want to like I feel like I could make a big difference. And I talked about how I, I align with Berkeley Haas's defining principles. And I think that took me a long way. And just take every opportunity you have and make sure when you look back at something, you look back and you think that's your best work. I think that's one of the first lessons my dad ever taught me. And I think that's what sets me apart from a lot of other people. Like work, I would say discipline and consistency is much more impressive than talent, in my opinion.
Correct. Before you share your takeaways, Darsh, one thing I wanted to say, like you talking about like how your dad said to whenever you always look back, make sure you always see it as your best work, right? And I feel like one of the things that my dad used to tell me, like, have no regrets, right? Do everything with such a conviction that it's just like you're not gonna regret that you didn't do something or that you did do something, right? All right, Darsh, what do you have to say?
I think I already touched upon this, but like when you're doing something, always make sure that like you see yourself doing it in the future and like you really are passionate about it because again, like if you're really passionate about something, you're going to continue doing it into the future and it's really going to build your skills. Let's say you just go into a different aspect every single time. You're not going to build one good skill. You're going to build a bunch of different superficial skills. And that's one of the things my dad actually taught me. Like, hard skills are going to get you hired, but soft skills are going to get you promoted, right? Hard skills, if you focus on one thing and you can really build upon that and really make sure you can get really good at that, and that's going to get you hired and that's going to really help you build that business, get that position, whatever you want to do, that's going to help you make it happen, right? Whereas soft skills, once you start and once you really get that position, you're only going to get promoted if you have those soft skills, if you can use that empathy, if you can like work with a team, if you can really build that business to where it has to be through those soft skills, connections, leadership, any of those things, you can use that to get promoted, to build your business into becoming more profitable in the future. So to get started, you need hard skills. But as you continue to build upon that, you need soft skills. And those soft skills can come with like networking, as I said, because if you talk to people, right? Right now, I know 2 years ago, I had horrible networking skills. I was like super shy. My dad used to like hide me behind him, like his leg, because like I could not talk to anyone. Now, like I'm able to talk to anyone because like all that networking I've done. And like what I've realized is like all that networking, that's what builds a business, right? Because the entire team is human resources. Our entire team right now, if we didn't have that team, we would be completely in shatters, we completely in scrambles, right? Because the entire team is the reason we like strive, and that consulting team that we have right now, people want to work with our team because of our team and because of who we've reached out to, Arv and I. That's why we're successful, and that's why we're going to continue to be successful in the future. And so, to any viewer watching, right? Make sure you step out of your comfort zone. Make sure you dive into that one skill that you're really passionate about. Use that to start something. Use that to get that position that you want. And from there, try to learn soft skills throughout your life and try to get that to get promoted or try to become more profitable in the future.
That's wonderful. I literally couldn't have said it better myself. All right. And so if both of you have nothing to add, nothing else to add,
I did want to make one quick announcement. So I know we've kind of just been like touching upon it, but we haven't directly talked about it. I think a huge thing that like put RCS on the map is our company is officially, or we are working with BBA, the BBA program, to create a hackathon at the Berkeley Haas campus, where students will come. I think it's June 3rd and 4th, and students will come. Students will meet. It's 100 students we will choose. The application is open on hack.risingcsuites.com, and we'll basically give them a corporate scenario, and we'll have actual Haas professors, entrepreneurs judge them, and the top participants will get scholarships to BBA program. As you know, like the scholarship at BBA really changed me, and like BBA really like helped me expand myself, use those skill sets to create Rising C-Suites. I just want to give back to the next entrepreneur. As like I said, an entrepreneur can come from anywhere, right? So this is for any kid from anywhere in the Bay Area who all different backgrounds. This is a perfect opportunity for you to make connections, and be the next Darsh Shah and Aarav Goswami. So,
Yeah, yeah. Just to finish off on what Aarav said, if you can't make it to this hackathon, if you go to risingcsuites.com, if you're interested in if you have an idea and you really want to build it up into a business, if you're watching this and you came up with some sort of idea on the spot, or if you've had one that's been nagging you for a while and you really want to turn it into a business, you can go to risingcsuites.com. We have a startup consultation form where you can come meet Aarav and I personally, and we can give you some startup advice and what you can do. And we have a 3-stage process, as Aarav said, where first we have a free consultation, then we develop an action plan. We can help get a full document to you, which you can review and use to help build your business. And from there, I think after this Berkeley event, we'll make it paid. But as of right now, we're a completely free service. So if you do want any help with building your business, you can reach out to any of us. Or as we said, we have a marketing team, content development team, anyone. So if you can't come to this event, and if you can't actually work at Haas, then just work with Rising C-Suites. We have a whole team that's really willing to help you turn your idea into a business.
All right, yeah, and I'll be sure to tag you and put whatever links you have in the description of the episode today. But if that's it for tonight, I'd like to really thank you guys again. I see you as inspiration. I wish I could have your sort of skill sets, your sort of passion when I was a year younger. But all is well, right? And again, I'd like to thank you both for joining me here today on the podcast, and it's been such an insightful experience with you.
Thank you so much for having this.
So much, Jan. What you have with Entrepreneurship Insights is honestly really impressive. Like I said, dedication and consistency with I saw I kept scrolling through all the entrepreneurs you've talked to, and you must have had some amazing conversations. I'm gonna actually be looking through them. So really impressed with what you have going on here.
Thank you. Always grateful.
Yeah.
And if that's it, have a wonderful night, you all.